So here we are in mid-September. We have the crypto sector, which is starting to warm up. A lot of the analysts out there are saying that altcoin season is imminent. We have others saying, based on their analyses, that we're at the very beginning of altcoin season. It has, in fact, already started. So this is a very hectic and exciting period, too. It can be stressful, but there's a lot of fun to be had. Typically, it only happens every 4 years. And while that's great, I'd caution you not to let FOMO or fear of missing out control your decisions. That's why we're looking, trying as much as possible to be calculated here, but we're looking analytically at Hedera and HBAR, HBAR. 1,000 HBAR tokens might look like a relatively small investment today, but I'm going to make the case that it's a pretty big opportunity and it represents a pretty smart investment. If we look ahead at 2026, these 1,000 HBAR can turn into one of your biggest crypto wins if all goes well. So I'm going to show you the potential gains here, some of the risks as well, which we have to consider over the course of the next 12 months for HBAR. The facts when it comes to HBAR is that as a project, in terms of market cap, it can double, it can triple, perhaps even more. So we are going to crunch the numbers in this one and deep dive into Hedera and the HBAR token. Welcome to the channel. My name is Maddie and this is Altcoin Buzz. Happy Monday. All the best of luck if you choose to invest, Hedera or otherwise. I wish you well. Just remember, I'm not a financial or investment advisor, and that means this video is not official financial or investment advice. So we have Hedera, whose token is HBAR, HBAR. As a project, it really is showing steady and continuous growth. There are a lot of factors behind that. Let's take a closer look at what some of those are, some of the recent announcements and some of the developments that we've seen as per the Hedera team. And of course, the impacts of those announcements and that news on the HBAR token. Here's one that we've been talking about a lot. So if you've been following the channel, chances are you're familiar with this. And it's a big win for Hedera. It's the fact that, it's selection by the state of Wyoming to offer Wyoming's Frontier Stable Token, ticker FRNT. It's a big deal because that is the first U.S. state-issued stable token. Hedera actually joined several other chains during this whole selection process, and that's because Hedera offers a trusted, a fast, and also a compliant stable token infrastructure. All the kind of positive characteristics that a project of this type, in terms of the Wyoming initiative, that they'd be looking for. As you may know, some of the other chains included Ethereum, Solana, Polygon, and Base. So some big names there and some stiff competition. As of this recording, and as far as we know, Wyoming is not planning to sell FRNT directly to the public. Instead, it's going to select various authorized resellers. They're going to first need to complete a robust Know Your Business, or KYB. That's going to be a review by their commission. However, this selection confirms trust, certainly, in Hedera's infrastructure. I think that goes without saying. Another big development is Hedera's launch of the Transact, and this should bring traditional Web 2 into Web 3. You've probably heard of this before, but hear me out, because Hedera offers both enterprises and governments crypto-free transactions. That is significant because, of course, it means that they don't have to deal with gas fees or wallets. So firms or government organizations can use their apps on Hedera without having to use HBAR, without having to use the token or any other token for that matter. Hedera securely processes any transaction, and at the same time, whoever uses Hedera remains in full control over their private keys. So this supports blockchain integration while also keeping it safe and really as simple as possible. And for those that are trying to dip their feet in the space, getting into blockchain for the first time, businesses, organizations, governments, that is a major, major plus. Hedera offers businesses the opportunity here to build with as few barriers as possible. In other news, we also had Grayscale, which has various plans for HBAR. It filed for an HBAR Trust ETF, for example, and you can now find a Canary HBAR ETF in the Grayscale Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation. The acronym for that is DTCC. However, just keep in mind that the SEC still needs to approve this whole thing, to approve the filing. And this can take perhaps another 2 months before the SEC even makes a decision. And then in a couple of months, they may only really want to delay the decision. So that's going to kick the can down the road. So this filing happened on August 12th in Delaware. The ticker is going to be HBAR. And there are already such filings for Solana's Sol, for Ripple's XRP, and other altcoins. So precedents do exist, which is encouraging. It certainly does seem like Wall Street is warming up to digital assets in general. A lot of assets, a lot of altcoins, of course, beyond just Bitcoin and Ethereum. And this was important news. It was significant, and it translated into an HBAR price pump from 23.7 cents to as high as 24.5 cents. That doesn't sound massive, but it's still a good 4 or 5%. Hedera, of course, is also very active in the RWA space, real-world assets. As a project, it offers fast and cheap enterprise-grade token creation. And what I would say makes this even more interesting is the fact that it has built-in management. What really makes the difference, however, is that there is no need whatsoever for smart contracts. Costs are also below 1 cent, plus it's programmable, it's secure, and fully compliant. Already that's very enticing, but it also has very high TPS, that's transactions per second, over 10,000 as of right now, and finality is in the range of seconds, so pretty quick. That's when you cannot reverse a transaction anymore. It's not the fastest in the world, but that, again, is pretty quick. It also offers custom controls, so things like KYC, but also supply configuration or even freezing. Okay, so I talked about acquiring 1,000 HBAR tokens. Let's take a look at what those 1,000 will cost today at a price, as I record, of 23.37 cents. Just keep in mind that the price of HBAR keeps going up and keeps going down, keeps going back up, keeps going back down. It's pretty volatile even among altcoins. Just for the sake of calculation, let's round this up right now to 24 cents. So 1,000 HBAR tokens is going to cost us $240. Hopefully, that's not going to break the bank. The short-term prediction is that HBAR will keep rising. And so if you're interested in Hedera, don't wait too long. I would say that this is probably a pretty good entry. The October prices of 2024 of 5 cents, in my opinion, are not coming back anytime soon. This Altcoin Buzz Spotlight video is sponsored by Walrus Protocol, which has the fastest solution for data storage on the market today. It's from the team behind Sui, and their token and airdrop were a huge success. Walrus is already a top 150 coin. In fact, it's so resilient that even with only a few nodes operating, your data availability will not be affected. Decentralized data storage on Walrus is solving the big problem of data availability and integrity. And this is especially important for AI models and their data sets. Decentralized AI solutions are important to many of us in the industry and many of you as well. And really the last thing that we'd want to see is having to give up our data for free again, like we did with social media and a lot of the big Web 2 companies. But AI models are big, huge databases that need training on one end and specialized limited access on the consumer end. Walrus was built exactly for this. Its specialty in large pieces of unstructured data means storing models to train to your liking on your private data is easier and cheaper than ever before. And Seal helps you control who accesses it. That means you can use Walrus to create an AI app to sell to others with the user permissions and controls you need. So try Walrus today. Whether you need it to store an NFT or an entire AI model, you get the same smooth, fast, and cheap storage service. Follow Walrus on X for more updates and check out the link in the description below. The current support for HBAR is at around 21 cents on the monthly chart. And at the same time, resistance is pretty close. So we're in a relatively narrow range. Resistance, I would say, is at about 25.7 cents. That 25-cent barrier seems also to be an important psychological barrier in this instance. Once that breaks, HBAR can move to 30 cents relatively easily. And then after that, the road is pretty wide open. For context, the current all-time high is 56.9 cents. Also for context, right now we're at just below a $10 billion market cap. 9.9 billion as I record. So pretty easy math. At 30 cents, 1,000 HBAR is going to be $300. At 33 cents, that's going to be worth $330. And if we go back to that all-time high, which I just mentioned was 56.9 cents, then we're at $569. So that's about a 2.5x away from where we are here. As always, once you break the all-time high, you're going to go into price discovery. That will be the case for HBAR above 57 cents. Of course, if HBAR reaches the $1 token price point, you're going to have 1,000 tokens worth $1, aka $1,000 in your wallet. Personally, I don't see HBAR going much above $1. I think it could flirt with $1 at its peak in the next few quarters, but probably not significantly above $1 between now and 2026. But that would be nice. That's a good return, still a 4 times or a quadrupling of our investment in terms of where we are right now. But for good measure, let's just be hypothetical here. Let's kind of go pie in the sky mode. If HBAR were to go to $1.50 or $2, then obviously your tokens are going to be worth $1,500 and $2,000 respectively at those prices. Now, again, I don't see HBAR doing an 8x in a relatively short period of time, maybe later down the road, 2030 perhaps, not just yet, but if I'm proven wrong, I'll be happy about that. Let me know your thoughts about HBAR in the comments below, where you think the price is going to go in Q4 2025 and let's say maybe Q1, Q2 2026. Let me know in the comments below and join our social media discussions. Those are happening on X. Those are happening on Discord. You can find those links and join us in the description below.